Since 2015, we've had 25 F1 rookies, some of which have had partial seasons or one race which classifies them as a rookie in that season as they have made their debut. Out of those 25 drivers, I've put together my top 5 F1 rookies and some honourable mentions, so let's get into this. Starting off with Yuki Tsunoda. For many, Yuki was set to be the F1 prodigy from Japan with backing from Honda, and everyone was excited to see how this rookie could rustle up in the season. However, Yuki did not have the greatest of starts to the season after looking promising in pre-season testing in 2021. The first few rounds of 2021 season seemed to show difficulties for Yuki. Despite having a great opening race finishing in 9th, things went sort of downhill from there in his next 4 races, as he would finish no higher than 12th with a DNF in Spain due to problem with the engine. Going into the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, Yuki managed to find some pace and qualified in P8 and finished the race in P7, gathering a few points. From here on in, Yuki would once again struggle to gather any points apart from 2 9th place finishes at the Styrian Grand Prix and the United States Grand Prix, and 1 10th place finish at Silverstone. For a rookie in his first season, he was above average in my eyes, however consistent, being on the grounds of 15th to 11th with an average season position of 11.7, so roughly about 11th to 12th. Now this does not seem like Yuki should be included on this list, but it is without a mention without his extraordinary drive he put in at the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi, where he qualified 8th and managed to work his way up the grid to 4th by the end of the race, beating teammate Gasly, who finished 10th in that race. Now for Yuki, this is quite an achievement because he's struggled so far all this season, and all of a sudden he's on top of Gasly, which he hasn't actually been able to do this season. So that was quite exceptional for me. Yuki has been one of the drivers to keep an eye on that season, but didn't deliver the goods until the last race of the season. So I'm excited to see how he will perform this season going into 2022, after having a good understanding now of the tracks and the feel of the car. Moving on to the Twitter stand's favourite, Lando Norris. Now Lando Norris, I personally believe he had quite a sufficient first rookie season in 2019, coming off the back of a 2nd place finish in Formula 2 behind winner George Russell. Lando went into the season strong, paired up with teammate Carlos Sainz. The first race of his F1 season was in Australia, and it could not have gone any better for the Brit after securing 8th in qualifying, however falling down to 12th by the end of the race. With that first qualifying session, many knew that Lando was a driver to watch out for in the coming years, as through the rest of the season he began to develop fast and produce some good results. He managed to score points at 11 of the 21 races, 4 of which he didn't finish. Lando's best position was 6th, where he managed to do that twice, once in Bahrain and once in Austria. In comparison to his teammate Carlos Sainz, Lando performed as would be expected of an F1 rookie, but a little bit more. With an average starting position of 9th, he was consistently getting himself into Q3. For a rookie, that is exceptional, especially with this being McLaren's 2nd season with the McLaren-Renault engine partnership, and he managed to be within 5 points of Renault Teamworks driver Daniel Ricciardo. So having that Renault power sort of left him subpar with his soon-to-be teammate. Overall, Lando had a great first season in Formula 1, and that's why he deserves to be on this spot on this list. In no way am I saying that this was an outstanding performance, but with the amount of time he had to learn that car and develop his skills in that season, he proved to be a driver to keep an eye on for the forthcoming seasons, and boy, were we right. Moving on to the not-so-forgotten Alexander Albon. Remember him? Well, before Albon was dropped from the Red Bull team, he is now set to return for 2022 with the Williams this season. But let's look back at his rookie season that saw him promoted so quickly from AlphaTauri or Toro Rosso at the time to the big Red Bull team. Alex joined Toro Rosso in 2019 after finishing 3rd in Formula 2 behind Lando and George Russell, but this does not stop him from striving for success and putting his name stamp in Formula 1 as to why he deserved to be at the Italian-run team. Alex started off the season's first race in Australia with a struggle to get to terms with the car after pre-season testing. He qualified in 13th and finished the race in 14th. This trend followed up until the summer break, until after the Hungarian Grand Prix. Up until this point, Alex had an average finishing position of about 11th, but it wasn't until after this break Alex found his rhythm and started producing some exceptional results for the Red Bull team after being promoted to the team due to Pierre Gasly's performances for the main Red Bull team. Alex began by finishing his first race back in Belgium in 5th place. From here, we saw Albon consistently in the top 6 for the next 6 races until Brazil, which was one of the most unfortunate things to happen to him when the British Thai driver came together with Lewis Hamilton, and I think we all know what happened there. Yeah, it was a disappointing result after having such a promising race. From here, Albon would round out the season in Abu Dhabi with a 6th place finish and scoring a total of 92 points that season and finishing 8th in the Drivers' Championship. Alex clearly had one of the most interesting rookie seasons, as not many teams would take such a risk of swapping drivers mid-season in hopes of better success. It was just Albon's motivation and skill that helped him grow into that Red Bull seat for the second half of the season, which he then retained the following year after his promising results at the end of 2019. Now, in our number 2 spot, we have none other than Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc, the Monegasque driver, proved to whip up a storm in his rookie season, with Sauber more commonly known now as Alfa Romeo. Coming into the team after winning the F2 championship in his rookie season, he was in the limelight as a driver who could be the next up-and-coming title challengers for a year to come. In his inaugural Grand Prix in Formula 1 in Australia, Charles only managed to qualify 18th, but fought his way back over the 58 laps to finish in P13. Charles was paired in the Sauber team with none other than Marcus Ericsson, who was okay for the most of it. Charles would go on to score 39 points out of 21 races, which doesn't sound all that impressive. However, considering that he did not finish 6 races through various reasons and the machinery that he was in, it was a fantastic effort and had some noteworthy performances in the latter stages of the season. In comparison to his teammate, the graph speaks for itself. I'll put it up here, It was enough to impress the works team of Ferrari for them to take him on for the 2019 season and replace him and Kimi Räikkönen, just a little swap deal. And he would then partner Vettel for the 2019 season, where he finished 4th in the championship on 264 points, showing that all his rookie experience paid off. Overall, I feel Leclerc had, in recent, probably one of the best rookie seasons in terms of providing value to the sport, and what a great driver he is. And that, he would just go on to achieve more, and, well, he's almost there, I'd say. If we go into this year, 2022, new technical regulations, we don't know what to expect. Could we see Leclerc on the top step more than we've ever expected? Could he win a championship? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Just before we get on to our number 1, I want to give out my honourable mentions for the F1 rookies. One of which is the channel's favourite, Pierre Gasly. Just before Pierre started in Formula 1, raced in Formula 1, he filled in on a race for Sebastian Buemi in Formula E. Now, we've covered this in a video of Forgotten Formula E, which was a series we did back, I think it was a year and a half ago. That video quite blew up, so if you're interested to see how Pierre got on in Formula E, why not check it out? It'll be in the cards up above. Pierre made his Formula 1 debut in 2017 at the Malaysian Grand Prix with Scuderia Toro Rosso, replacing Daniel Kvyat, to which he finished the Malaysian and Japanese Grand Prix outside the points in 14th and 13th. Now, Gasly was expected to take Carlos Sainz Jr.'s seat in Austin, Texas for the US Grand Prix, but he missed the race due to a clash with the final round of the 2017 Super Formula Championship. He later returned to Toro Rosso for the Mexican Grand Prix, partnering Brendan Hartley after the team decided to drop Daniel Kvyat, the Torpedo, from the Red Bull program altogether. To which Pierre managed to finish out the season in Brazil and Abu Dhabi with his best finish of 12th in Brazil. Overall, he had a decent enough show for the Italian team to take him on for the 2018 season as a full driver. Another honourable mention for an F1 rookie since 2015 is none other than Mercedes poster boy George Russell. Even though he came into F1 after winning the Formula 2 Championship in 2018. He kept within the Mercedes family, but he went to Williams, where his whole season summed up as pretty much being consistent. By consistent, I mean consistently at the back of the field. However, that car was a dog to drive, especially being underpowered and disadvantaged compared to the rest of the teams. Yes, even Haas. Even Haas was better than the Williams. I like how that switched now, but that doesn't matter. His best result was 11th at the super wet German Grand Prix, where we saw loads of drivers spin out, crash out, all sorts. It was drama, but it was exciting for all of us watching. Maybe not for the drivers or the teams, but for us, it was enjoyable. He only needed one more driver to spin out or crash out at that race, which would have saw him secure his first point in Formula 1, as he was 11th at the time. But it just was not to be for the Brit. He ended the season with 0 points, which statistically makes him the worst driver of that season, just in terms of points. Speaking of which, if you'd like to see who was the worst driver of each year on paper in terms of points, since 2010, we've also made a video on that covering the worst F1 driver from every season from 2010 to 2019. Why not check that out as well? Now finally, the moment you've all been waiting for. Onto our winner, or the top of our top 5 list. And did we save the best at last? I think so. Max Verstappen, or commonly known now as World Champion Super Max, had a very interesting first season in Formula 1 back in 2015. Yes, 2015. It seems like a long time ago, and well, it was, because Max was only 17 when he joined the Toro Rosso team. However, he had been in an F1 car back in 2014 after featuring in free practice. Max's first Formula 1 season was to be a tale of two halves. In the 2015 season, there were only 19 races. 4 of them were DNFs for Verstappen. 2 due to reliability issues with the car, 1 accident, and 1 force of habit, 1 spin, which saw him retire. Throughout the season, Max managed to get 2 more 4th place finishes at the Hungarian Grand Prix and the United States Grand Prix. Max did, however, manage to score points at 10 of the 15 races he finished, and in a rookie season, that's what team bosses look for in a driver who can consistently get their car at the front of the field. Obviously, forgetting about, the retirements, but, it was pretty good. With an average finishing position of around 10th, it was no surprise that we've seen the Dutch driver racing for Red Bull Racing in 2016. However, this only came about ahead of the Spanish Grand Prix, where he swapped seats with Daniel Kvyat. Verstappen would go on to win his debut race in Spain with only 1 full season behind the future world champion. We saw a young 19-year-old Max Verstappen battle his way through the 2016 season, finishing 5th in the Drivers' Championship on 204 points, only 52 points off the more experienced Daniel Ricciardo, with 3 less races in the Red Bull team at the start of that season. Max's rookie season was probably the best out of all other rookies on this list due to his age, his determination, and his ability to take the reins of the Toro Rosso car and put it into grid positions that no one on the team thought was really possible. That's sort of enough to warrant him the top spot on my list for the top 5 F1 rookies since 2015. So, there we have it. That's my top 5 list and my honourable mentions for the best rookies in Formula 1 since 2015. How do you think I did? Alright, let me know down in the comments below. Also, drop a comment about any other driver you think should have been on this list that I didn't include. If you did enjoy today's video, a like would be very much appreciated. And if you do enjoy our content, why not consider subscribing? After all, it's free. If you're interested in the world of motorsport, why not head over to our website, theapexmotorsport.com, where you can find articles on all things motor racing. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and sticking it out to the end. I hope to see you next time.